Hey guys, welcome to my next installment of my 8-week series, Weddings 101 according to School of Van Horne. I'm Robert, and this episode's topic is going to be discussing wedding planners. I'm going to be giving you some general knowledge on what you can expect from the different types of coordinators and planners that you can hire, and I'm going to be giving you some tips and advice on how to make the process as smooth as possible. Let's get started. Wedding planners. You know you're getting married and you need to figure out, do you hire a wedding planner, do you hire a coordinator, or is the person at your venue good enough? I want to go over the 3 main types that there are and give you a little bit of knowledge on what to expect, starting off with the venue coordinator. This is the individual that you've been working with to book your wedding and the person that's going to be helping you confirm the final details as you get down to the wire. Venue coordinators are typically very helpful in helping you learn things about the space, what works, what doesn't, and what the general process is going to be leading up to the day. These individuals will be helping you confirm a general floor plan, your menu with the venue of choice, and they'll also be helping you confirm your final numbers so that everything goes smoothly the day of. These are probably the least involved coordinators, as they are simply responsible for confirming information and answering your frequently asked questions or general knowledge about the venue. They're not going to help you design your wedding by any means, but oftentimes they can let you know what's worked well in the space and what hasn't. A venue coordinator should be looked at as somebody who is the main keeper of all your information in regards to the venue specifically. They aren't necessarily going to help you iron out the kinks of some of the personal items that don't affect the venue. Although they won't necessarily help you with the nitty-gritty of your wedding, they definitely will help you determine things such as table placement, generalized timelines, service methods, and anything that may affect the general flow of the day. They also will be able to let you know what to expect from your event manager that day and ways that they can be of assistance to make the day go smoother. If you are only going with a venue coordinator, you'll want to make sure that somebody in your family, friends, or on your general team is able to set up items for you, double check things to make sure that they look the way that they're supposed to, and somebody to help you stay on track the day of. That brings me to the next type of coordinator that you can hire, a day of coordinator. A day of coordinator is more detailed than your venue coordinator, but isn't quite as hands-on as a wedding planner. A day of coordinator usually gets involved closer to the date and will sit down with you, go over your vision, and let you know the ways that they can help you execute it the day of. The most important reason for hiring a day of coordinator is to make sure that you're able to stay in your seat, enjoy your meal, and ultimately spend time with the ones you love without worrying about the smaller details. A day of coordinator will also do things such as cueing your ceremony, cueing your bridal party intros, making sure your MC stays on time, and be the general point of contact for the venue the day of when your event manager has questions or to update them with any possible delays in service. Day of coordinators are amazing in that you are allowed to design your own wedding. They don't get involved until later. And once they come in, you have that extra person and that extra set of hands to help you execute what you've been planning for all these months leading up to it. The next type of coordinator that you can hire is the wedding planner. This is the full service, all hands on deck planning service that you can hire for your wedding. Wedding planners are typically with you from the beginning through the end. They'll come with you on venue site tours, they'll meet with your vendors, and they're the main source of information for all things to do with your wedding, not just what pertains to the venue. Wedding planners will have several meetings with you. Although it varies from planner to planner exactly how they execute it, it's typically more meetings than you would have with a day of coordinator. And since they get involved from the start, chances are you're going to bring them in before you even settle on a venue. There's lots of perks of having a wedding planner, as they are usually connected to different vendors and they've got a really good sense of how different things can work in different spaces. They're also good at knowing vendor strengths and weaknesses. They can be an unlimited source of knowledge for design, color choices, food choices, and they've pretty much done every type of wedding at this point if you hire someone who's a little more experienced. So now that I've given you a general overview of all 3, let's get into the nitty-gritty of each one, as I've had the pleasure and displeasure of being all 3. I'm torn on this. I think what you need really depends on what you're looking for and what you want to get out of the experience. In some cases, when I look at it, it can be a lot of money to hire external coordinators, and it can cost a lot of money to have a wedding planner with you from day one. But when you look at the big picture, look at how much money you're spending on this day. It's almost like added insurance to make sure that the money that you're investing in such a big night goes perfectly. If you ask me, when you look at it that way, you may not necessarily have to get a wedding planner or a day of coordinator, but get somebody. Make sure somebody's there. And for some of you, you may have a best friend or a really close relative that's really great at throwing parties. That's not a planner, and that's not a coordinator. That's somebody who's great at throwing parties. What you need to ask yourself is, have they thrown a party for 200 people that wasn't their workplace Christmas party? That's what I like to ask myself, because at the end of the day, it's very different, and you would be surprised how many people are amazing at throwing parties, but when it comes down to doing the nitty-gritty elbow grease that needs to happen during a wedding, they buckle under the pressure. Here's what I think. When you look at venue coordinators, I think a lot of people sometimes put too much importance on their venue coordinator. Yes, there are some locations that are really hands-on and that will walk you through the process from start to finish. And essentially, they see more weddings than anybody because they're not working at multiple locations. They see wedding after wedding in the same space. But you also have to ask yourself, when you had those initial meetings and when you were talking to that person who booked you, did you ask them anything about how the process is going to go? It may be worth sending them an email or picking up the phone and saying, just how much do you guys cover and what isn't covered? Because that's when you're going to know if you're going to need that extra person. Venue coordinators are great at advising you on what works and what doesn't work in the space, giving you realistic expectations in terms of the food, the service, how the night's going to go. But essentially, they're looking at that one space, and every night that they do events is usually different clientele, as it isn't always repeat clients with weddings for some people. Now, if you're looking at a day of coordinator, I think this is a good, cheaper alternative to hiring a full wedding planner. If you're a really artistic person and you're gonna go to your own vendors, you're gonna have your own meetings, you're gonna design your own wedding, then no, I don't necessarily think you need a wedding planner. And chances are, if you have a couple of close people who are organized as well, you can all pretty much work it out amongst yourselves. But the day of, you want these people to be guests. Let them be guests. Don't think that when they're standing at the bar having shots with your friends because you all grew up together, that they're gonna necessarily remember to go make sure that your next speaker is lined up or that your mother isn't stuck in the washroom trying to zip up her dress when she's scheduled to speak next. These are all things that you don't take into account when you're weighing the options as to what type of coordinator you should get. And that's when you're saying to yourself,
my friend could do that.
Really? Can your friend tell off your mother when she's trying to leave to go to the washroom, but she's supposed to speak in 2 minutes? Chances are, if she looks at your friend and says,
I just need a sec, I'll be right back,
your friend's not gonna say, it can wait till after your speech. I can guarantee you that. Half the time, as a planner, you end up as essentially a part-time therapist. We see you when you're at your most authentic self with your family. And believe me, you're gonna want somebody who's objective, who doesn't have all the inner workings and relationships, that essentially can look at these people and keep the day moving right along. Because I've seen many times people are great in the meetings leading up, and when the day of comes, it's very hard for them to herd the crowd. And believe me, you have to herd the crowd. It takes a long time to get things accomplished because everybody's partying and enjoying themselves. Essentially, in the wedding planner world, something that takes 5 minutes can take 15 minutes if you're leaving guests to their own devices. So when you've lined up your bridal party because they're all about to be announced in the room and your one groomsman says, I forgot my phone in the bridal suite, I'll be right back. That be right back, you're looking at least 20 minutes because he's gonna hit all your childhood friends on the way and all your cousins and relatives on the way back. And chances are he'll be pulled to the bar to grab a beer before bridal party intros. And these are all things that people don't think about when they're deciding whether or not they need a day of coordinator. Wedding planners, that's a bit tricky. At the end of the day, if you're a very busy person, you really do need to consider getting a wedding planner. It is a higher cost than hiring just a day of coordinator or getting your best friend to do it, but it's worth it. You're spending a lot of money and they're gonna go to these meetings and make sure that you're not entering into contracts that have fine print that you didn't see. And believe me, there's a lot of fine print in contracts. So you're gonna want a wedding planner who has the know-how and knows what to look for in these contracts and make sure that you're not making a big mistake. I've had a lot of people come down to a month before their wedding when they actually need to start dealing with some of their vendors, and they realize a slew of things that could have been prevented had they took the time to read the contract. These are all things that a wedding planner is gonna help you do. Also, they're usually pretty kick-ass people. They're usually good at designing weddings. They know colors, they know rentals, they know the types of furniture you can use to give a different look. And I really do respect what wedding planners do as a whole. And I know myself, when I've been the full service wedding planner, I've definitely done a lot more than people would think. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that you are investing in somebody who's going to be an external source of discipline the day of, so that when you are freaking out because the limo is 10 minutes late and you think you're going to be late for pictures, you've got someone there to tell you, we'll make the 10 minutes up. And at the end of the day, the biggest thing that all planners do, from venue coordinators to full service wedding planners, is damage control and crisis management. And believe me, this is so important on such an important day for you. A lot of the times, you're getting married for the first time, or this is the only wedding you're ever gonna have. I myself have done 45 weddings some years. For me, that's just a regular day at the office. Okay, so let's bring it all together. Venue coordinators, typically not there the day of. They plan everything with you in advance in regards to the venue, and they hand it off to your event manager. If you think you're gonna be fine with just a venue coordinator, ask yourselves, are they gonna be there the night of? And if not, who's picking up that slack? Day of coordinators. They're gonna come in closer to the end of the process and help you execute everything that you've planned. So ask yourself, am I gonna be able to meet the deadlines that my venue coordinator is gonna give me? And if so, am I just bringing them in to execute the day of? Pro tip, don't bring them in too late in the game, or they're not gonna be able to give you any expert advice and prevent you from planning something that could eventually blow up in your face. Wedding planners. Are you busy? Are you swamped? Are there a lot of moving parts to your wedding? Do you need someone to give you that extra finesse with design? Then you definitely want to hire a wedding planner. They're going to be there from day one. They're going to be your part-time therapist, if they're good. They're going to essentially make sure that from beginning to end, it's a great experience for you. In terms of my favorite, I do love being all three. There's pros and cons to each. And when I say pros and cons, I mean pros and cons to each. Whether I'm a venue coordinator, a day of coordinator, or a full-on wedding planner, you always go above and beyond for your clients. And the same with any of the other planners that are in this industry. There's some amazing people out there. So my biggest tip to you, regardless with which one you choose, is make sure you fall in love with the person's personality. You're gonna be working with this person so much more than you think. And believe me, you wanna make sure that it's somebody when it's raining, or you've ripped your dress, or someone spilled red wine on you, or you've lost your tie, they have to be the kind of person that you're gonna wanna turn to and that you trust to make you feel better. They're also gonna get attacked from many different sides from your family, and you wanna make sure that there's somebody that can handle it. So when you're choosing your venue coordinator, day of planner, or full service wedding planner, make sure it's somebody that you can stand to look at when the going gets tough, because believe me, the going will get tough. And that's it for wedding planners. I hope I've given you a few things to think about. This was a fun episode for me because I do feel passionately about this topic. If you had a really crazy experience with a wedding planner, or have you had a really amazing one, leave me a comment and let me know. If it's bad enough, I just might talk about it because I love to hear what other people go through. Check out my channel so you can see the other videos in this series. And by all means, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.